There we go. We are live. It is 5 o'clock somewhere in Lakewood Ranch. Oh, I have a funny story to tell you. But first, what I want to do is do what I like to do right before my live stream. Have a little sip of bourbon. By the way, this is Basil Hayden. It is a dark rye. I'm not a big fan of dark rye, but I like Basil Hayden. They have a whole ton of selections of bourbon. So I bought that one. So if you have a drink, cheers to you. So let me tell you a little bit about this bourbon. And I love starting off my live streams with this bourbon. So Basil Hayden Dark Rye. It is 40% alcohol by volume. It is 80 proof. I know if you're a connoisseur of bourbon, you don't really like the 80 proofs. I like the 80 proofs because it doesn't really have a burn. But according to Basil Hayden, it's a whiskey finish with a little bit of port. Obviously, you can see that little color, which is great. It's got flavors of caramel, dried fruit, oak with a little bit of spice. I don't really taste the spice, but definitely some dried fruit and some sweetness and a deep amber color. So what's your go-to beverage of choice? Really quick too, where this stem from? I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of real estate agent on YouTube just because I want to support my friends. I want to find out what's happening throughout the country. And most of them are at nighttime. Almost all of their live streams are at nighttime. But they're drinking coffee and iced tea, and I cannot drink that caffeine at nighttime. I already don't sleep as it is. So I chose bourbon as my drink of choice. So even if you don't drink, cheers to you. I have a great guest tonight. His name is Malcolm. Let me bring him to the stage.
Hey,
it's Malcolm. What is up, Malcolm?
Hey, Adam, man. Thanks for having me on. This should be fun.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. For those of you who are just tuning in, we went live, but we weren't live. So we're live, part 2. Appreciate you coming on. You are from Maryland, is that correct?
Yeah, man. Annapolis, Maryland. I've been here my whole life. I was even in the Air Force, even stationed here in Maryland as well.
Nice. Do you have any choice on that? Can you be like, hey, I want to get stationed?
Yeah, kind of. You have like a dream sheet where you can put down like bases that you prefer if they have openings there. And I don't know, I kind of regret doing that, but I got stationed in Japan when I was 20 years old. Love that. And then my follow-up was like, okay, I'm ready to go back home. And I got stationed in Maryland at Andrews Air Force Base for 5 years. And then I got an assignment at the White House. And so I got stationed at Bowling Air Force Base in Washington, D.C. I did that for 4 years. That was amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
I got to meet 3 U.S. presidents while working there.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Obama,
awesome.
Biden, who went on to become president. And then I got a photograph with Trump when I left that position.
How cool is that, man? Never had. The closest thing I've come to that is I opened up a Panera Bread in Lansing, Michigan.
Yeah,
where President Ford is from. And so this Panera Bread was in a brand new mall, I guess at the time, and he showed up to, I don't know, say welcome to our town or something like that. But they ate at Panera Bread, so we had Secret Service come in, check the whole place out, and then we made sandwiches for everybody. But that was kind of the closest thing. Although actually, when I was a kid, I saw Ronald Reagan. We went to DC as a little kid, and he was just coming out of a building.
No, that's really cool. If you want to meet presidents, you just got to go up to Pennsylvania. That's where they all campaign, and like you can shake hands and you can get photos with them. And this is like a thing in Pennsylvania where people are like, I want to get as many photos of the president as they can. There's just a handful of swing states that's possible. But
yeah, we're due for a trip to Pennsylvania. Jessica's dad was from Pennsylvania. I went to college in Pennsylvania, Kutztown, which is in between Allentown and Reading on the East Coast. And I always kind of joke with my friends too, because all of them are still there. I used to joke with them that if you were born in Pennsylvania, I think it's a felony for you to leave Pennsylvania because you're all still there.
Yeah, man, was it like a small town? Allentown's.
Oh yeah, small little town. At the time, the school was like teeny tiny, like a couple of thousand people. Now it's obviously a little more sophisticated. And I went at the right time. I think I went at the right time.
Yeah, so I'm back. I'm like 10 minutes from where I grew up. And it's weird running into people that I went to high school with. And it's like, okay, cool, man. What have you been doing the last 20 years? And, I was like, oh, still working at the guitar factory or still, doing this. And it's like, wow, man, I went and fucking lived a whole life, went on all these adventures.
Yeah.
It's interesting seeing some people just choose that's how they choose to live. They don't.
Yeah. I have super mixed feelings on that one because Jessica is a military brat and I have just happened to bounce around the country. So neither of us really kind of have roots somewhere. Yeah, there's pluses and there's minuses to that for sure.
Yeah, I think there's more pluses, but you know, once you get a family and everything, you kind of get settled down. I'm getting the itch right now, man. I want to get out of this place.
Oh yeah,
Where I'm at. Like Maryland's beautiful. It's like it's cool. I want to get much more rural. And either northern Maryland, where it's really rural, or like southern Pennsylvania, is what I've got my sights on next. And
okay.
because of like my business model that I work from this office and I just make
Yep.
YouTube videos all day, I could do that anywhere.
Do
And
that
so
anywhere.
why am I living in one of the most expensive and crowded places in America when I could go live out in the woods somewhere if I wanted to?
Yeah. Now you, for the folks at home, you are a real estate agent. You are a YouTuber. Are you still working with buyers and sellers?
Yeah, I'm still in production. I think I did. I'm really ramping it down. Last year I did maybe 10 deals, and I have a team now, and I'm trying to start a
Oh, great.
statewide team throughout Maryland, and I'm generating leads and then just pretty much handing the leads off to the different people that we have. And so, yeah, if anybody needs help finding a house in anywhere in Maryland, I should be able to connect you with somebody that we have set up there.
That is awesome. I love that as a business model. I know other agents who are doing that one. So I know you have a YouTube channel. It's more about kind of agent attraction, getting agents to join Real Broker.
Any
Yep.
YouTube channel? I have like 10 YouTube
I was gonna
channels.
say, yeah, I know you have a handful of YouTube channels. Anyone particular that you want to mention or bring up or chat about?
I mean, so I've got 3 main ones that are relevant in this call, I guess. I have like my original YouTube channel that I started about Maryland, and then I kind of pivoted that, and that's more of a national channel. So I have national content about like how to get your house ready to sell, or how to, you know, get the best offer on offer accepted on a property. And then I have another one that I'm still uploading to right now, where we're just making informational videos, and I'm trying to create an informational video about every single city in the state of Maryland. There's 341 cities.
Wow.
And I'm trying to have every single city. I'm going to have an article about that city and a YouTube video about that city. And so I'm working on that right now. And then kind of my main focus is I do a lot of agent educational content as well. That one is kind of the big channel that I'm really focused on at the moment. But those are kind of the 3 real estate channels that I have.
Gotcha. And what are they more interested in, the ones that are not real estate? Because I kind of think of myself as the real estate channel. More like real estate agents talking story, not necessarily about real estate, although it could be real estate, because I think the people at home kind of find that more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk to you about the other one. So my very first channel, it's almost at 200,000 subscribers. It's an outdoor camping emergency preparedness channel called Survival Know-How. And that's really where I kind of learned how to do YouTube. And I did a lot of like survival training type videos on that. And I started that channel probably a decade ago.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was pretty early. Like it's like 2013, 2014, I started making that content. And that was just kind of a passion of mine. And then I got out of the military, and I just wasn't as passionate about that, wasn't as interested in survival and guns and prepping and all that stuff. And then I have another one that I started maybe 2 years ago. I've been on I had a divorce a couple years ago, and I've been on like a spiritual journey the last 4 years. And so I started a channel called Eternal Dreamer. And on that channel, I just kind of shared my own spiritual journey and talked about meditations and manifestations and reviewing books. And then I started a podcast on that channel where I was interviewing mystics and psychics and people with near-death experiences. And I was doing that last year, actually. I started that podcast. And I kind of fell off the wagon with that. But I kind of want to keep that one up. That was super interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, just talking to these people that are, especially the near-death experiences. That's really, really fascinates me. How similar of an experience all these people have. And there's thousands, tens of thousands of accounts of people with these near-death experiences. And they all kind of line up pretty similar to what that experience is like for them.
That's amazing. And do you find that there's any parallel with real estate? Are people like, Hey, you're that real estate guy.
None.
No, okay.
Those are just passion projects.
Yeah, okay.
But you know what? Like when YouTube burnout is a real thing,
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure.
And what I've seen other YouTubers do is they'll say like, okay, well, I'll do 3 videos for the algorithm and 1 video for myself. And it's some kind of passion project that they'll do on it, knowing that that video is not going to get 1 million views. It's not going to make them a lot of money. And so this is one way that some people handle this, is that they do a passion project on that channel. Another way is just having your own, passion project on the side. So I have my business channel that makes me money, and then I can't do that nonstop. I need some other creative outlet, and that's what this other project is for, just to kind of scratch that itch.
Yeah, that's interesting because I have my 2 YouTube channels. The one everyone's currently watching. Then I also have 941 Premier Home Tours, which is a home tour channel. But between you and me and anybody else who's watching, I probably have like 6 other ones that I created, not done anything with, and I've worked on the concept. But yeah, that I will start eventually. One probably this year. But I think you and I were kind of talking offline about I did a cooking video for this channel. And it wasn't meant to be a cooking channel. It was supposed to be kind of the lifestyle channel, and it turned way more into a cooking channel, a cooking video.
Mm-hmm.
And I found I didn't love it. Granted, it was my first one, and I don't really know anything that I'm doing, but just recording cooking videos is way different than than this. I had 3 cameras, which first of all is just insane.
That's a lot. Yes,
that's a lot. Yeah. First of all, one camera's a lot. One camera's a lot, but to have 3 is just nuts. But that was a good experience. But so I may have to go revisit what that concept is about, because it is about cooking, but I might have to figure out how to make it about food and not necessarily about a educational cooking.
Yeah. And I think having a passion project, having some sort of creative outlet like that, I think is important for all of us. Just to find balance in life. It can't all be work.
That's right.
I'll tell you another one that I thought about creating, and I'm yelling at myself not to do it. I'm trying to talk myself out of doing it. But like I said, I bought a motorcycle recently, and I'm getting into adventure bike riding. And so last year I went on a trip to Africa for 2 weeks, and I rode a motorcycle for 2 weeks there, and it had an amazing time. And so I'm turning 40 in April. So I was like, okay, I got to do it again. And so I signed up for a trip to go to Nepal for 2 weeks and ride motorcycles through the Himalayas. And I'm so tempted to start another YouTube channel just about like adventure riding, and just adventures in general. But I'm like, no, I got too many, man.
Way too much. Yeah, that's a project.
Yeah, but like I've got like, I got the 360 cameras, and I got GoPro, and I think I can make a really fun thing. But I got too much, I can't. One of my favorite business quotes is from Steve Jobs. And he says that one of the greatest things he ever learned how to do was say no to great ideas. We just have too many, if you're, some of us have too many great ideas, and you can't do them all,
I used to be that way. Jessica used to get so mad at me because even when I was in real estate, I was like writing business plans for something else. She's like, you already have a job, you're a real estate agent. I'm like, oh no, this is just a feasibility study. I just want to see if it's like that could be something viable. kind of rabbit hole. Hey, I wanted to share a quick story too, and I want it was about, and I don't want to make this all about real estate, but you were talking about dirt bikes and motorcycles. But I had a cool story because I was just sharing this with somebody else. Not necessarily about a motorcycle, but about ATV, 4-wheeled ATV.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know this, but there was a time that I sold a ton of acreage property. One of the top acreage real estate agents in Keller Williams, first of all. But just sold a ton of land, homes on acreage, equestrian properties. I was kind of the go-to guy for that. I've listed and sold about 100 acreage properties in about 4 to 5 years, give or take. But I listed one property that was 22 acres, and it was just really long and narrow. And the reason that's important is because it had just a little teeny house, but it had 2 airplane hangars and a runway.
Perfect.
and a stream that ran the long way. So I always did great videos with the videographer and a photographer, and the owner of the property let me drive his 4-wheel ATV. Can't remember what they're called, but like the big monster ones.
Mm-hmm.
And my videographer hopped in the front seat with his drone, and we recorded like we were running down the runway, like taking off. Such a cool little video, because
Oh,
so it
cool.
gave people the perception of what it would be like if you had a plane and you're taking off on a 2,200 square foot or 2,200 foot runway or whatever it was. So that was super cool. And then they said there was a stream that ran up and down the property, and it was wooded, but the owner had built trails in there. So we did a video that kind of reminded me of, remember that scene in Star Wars? I don't know if it was the first one or the second one, where Luke and Leia,
Ewoks. Yeah, Return of the Jedi.
yeah, where they're going through the woods, and they're on their little snowboard looking things and shooting. That's kind of what this video was like. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. I've always wanted to own a property with a stream on it. That's my end game right there.
Yeah.
But that is one of the cool things about being a real estate agent is you get to see some really cool properties, you know, some beautiful homes, some beautiful land. Like that is like a fun part of our job, is touring these really nice places. You see some crap holes as well, but
I love that part, especially about selling acreage, because I learned a lot. I sold a 100-acre orange grove.
Wow.
On a lake, which was really interesting. Yeah, just all sorts of, it's cool because I've been pulling up the stats. So, you know, we were here for 11 years. We moved to Maui for 5 years. We just came back to this area, but I pulled up the stats, and I'm still in the top 10 of acreage sales.
Wow.
Even without being here for 5 years.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Really interesting.
Yeah. Got to get back into that niche somehow.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So I'm in conversations with somebody who has an expired listing, meaning it failed to sell, on over 100 acres on a lake. And yeah, I'm hoping to find out in the next couple of days if I get that one. This is actually another conversation I was going to have with you too, because I had called. I was going to share this story. I called an expired listing. Actually, they called me. I sent them a letter, and it was expired vacant land. And I talked to this guy for like an hour and a half, Malcolm. And I couldn't believe I stayed on the phone with them for an hour and a half, because, as you know, as a real estate agent, if you hire an agent, you expect them to sell the property, and when it fails to sell, you're kind of mad. You're kind of mad at yourself. You think that you made the wrong decision. You hired the wrong real estate agent. You know, you just wasted time. This guy was on the market for over 2 years.
Wow.
Like 1,000 days. So as you probably know, when a property comes off the market after failing to sell, they just get inundated. People calling, email, texting. So by the time, and he reached out to me, I didn't have his phone number. I sent him a letter. And he called, and he was just fuming.
Oh, because everybody's calling him?
He was just, he just wanted to let loose. So I stayed on the phone with him for an hour and let him let loose, and, you know, tell me how terrible real estate agents are and why Zillow is horrible. How they come up with estimates that are not fair. And all this whole time I'm thinking, like, well, eventually I'm just going to convince them to list with me, because I've sold just a ton of properties, and, you know, 30 plus 35 properties that failed to sell the first time I sold, which is a great statistic. But he's like, well, here's what I want you to do, Adam. I want you to, I'm not signing an exclusive. So I'm not signing a listing agreement with you. And I'm never going to put my property in the multiple listing service ever again. And if you want to sell my property, you should just do what you do to sell properties. I'm like, I spend thousands of dollars. He's like, well, go spend thousands of dollars. I'm like, I can't spend thousands of dollars without a contract from you, because I can spend thousands of dollars and you can turn around tomorrow and list it with Johnny and him sell it. And then I just wasted money. He's like, well, I know the real estate market is tough right now. That's just what you got to do. I'm like, so you're telling me that you don't want to hire me, but you want me to go spend thousands of dollars to try to find a buyer for your property in hopes that you don't list it with somebody else? Yes. I was like, and that's why I just spent an hour with you on the phone?
Sometimes, man, that's this business sometimes.
That is just the business sometimes. And yeah. It was interesting, but I stayed on the phone too, because one, I wasn't doing anything at the moment, and I just kind of, maybe I'll write a book about that scenario, because it was super interesting.
Yeah, man. Like, some percentage of the population are just like jerks, you know, and let's say 5% are just natural born jerks with no empathy for anybody else. And as a real estate agent, we run into them, you know, that's 5% is 1 out of every 20 people. the most I've done is 30 transactions a year. So that's probably like 50 clients I had to have to sell 30 deals. So it's like 2 jerks a year I'd be running into at that ratio. Like, yeah, it just happens when you have a focused business like this.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting. I mean, yeah, I've always said that I was going to write a book about just the craziest stuff that happens in real estate, because most people would not believe it. But there's a lot of changes in our industry, and a lot of people don't think that we do enough, we're worth our money.
You want to hear 2 crazy stories?
Yeah.
How appropriate can I okay, I'll be appropriate. So the first story, I went into a house that was showing a property in 55 plus community, and we walk in and there's an unconscious woman on the kitchen floor with blood around her head. And is an older woman. I think she had a stroke. And so we run over to her. She's kind of, not really conscious, or barely. So we had to call an ambulance and get an ambulance there to come and take her away and get her squared away and everything. So that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But I mean, that happens. Like, thank God we had a showing that day.
Right.
What if we would have canceled it or skipped it or came the next day? Who knows? So yeah, you run into situations like that. I'll tell you, okay, a more happier one is as teaching a class in the Real Academy. Okay, this is not a happy one. But the woman came up to me afterwards and she keeps joking with me about it. So she's kind of indifferent about it. But I'm teaching a class in the Real Academy, and I'm going on and I'm doing a Zoom, and you can see me, I'm the big window, but you can see the other participants in the top. And I guess this woman was watching it on her phone, didn't realize that her camera was on, and she puts her phone down and starts changing. And I see everything. And luckily her video didn't get recorded, but I went back and looked just to make sure. And you see me reacting, and I'm teaching class, yada yada. And then I'm like, hold on a second. Let me do this. Okay. And I turned her video off. Super awkward. But then, like, she reached out a couple of days later and she's like, hey, I heard I had a wardrobe malfunction on the live stream. Just want to make sure it's not recorded anywhere. And I was like, yeah, it's not. Then I ran into her at the Rise conference and she keeps joking about it. Yeah. She keeps joking about it. So she's not terribly upset by it, but
no, of course, especially if it was just for you.
Yeah. But it just like watching my reaction to it, where I'm just teaching a class. Let me do that. Okay. So where was I?
Oh, that is too funny, man. Yeah. I'd love the idea of kind of like writing a book or just doing like this, like talking stories about like crazy things that you see happen in real estate or on YouTube.
I'll tell you one more. So I used to work with a lot of investors, and remember we walked into this real dump of a house, and we walk in, and there's just there's just nothing really bad, but there's some high school kids in the living room smoking weed, and we walk in and they immediately jump up and then run out the back door. But it's me scaring them scared the crap out of me. And like, there's, a lot of people work with investors around here in the DC area. They carry guns on them.
Oh, yeah.
You just never know. It could be a homeless person, a drug addict. It could be something nefarious going on in these abandoned properties that you're showing to investors. And I thought about getting like a concealed carry license if I'm going to keep working that niche. But in the end, I decided not to work with investors anymore. They're exhausting.
I kind of felt the same way because, like we were talking about, I'd specialize in acreage, and I would go to those properties obviously by myself. But it's one thing for when the property is an acre, but 10 acres is big, 20 acres is big, 40 acres is big, 100 acres is big. I mean, you could disappear on a property and nobody finds you for quite some time. So I never carried, but I always kind of prepare, because a lot of times you'd meet clients at their property. I mean, I remember once going to a house and it was off the beaten path, and I want to say it was like 5 acre or 7 or 10, something like that. And I got there and no cell service, and it was just me and a mean looking Rottweiler sitting outside the house, and I'm there for a listing appointment. And Yeah, I can't get a hold of the seller. I'm honking my horn, hoping that they hear me. I'm like, I'm not getting out of the car because I'm in the middle of nowhere, and that dog could be friendly. He wound up being friendly, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, you never know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it can be pretty vulnerable being a real estate agent, honestly,
sure,
sometimes.
especially a female real estate agent. Like I'm
Yeah,
always concerned with my wife who works just with buyers.
yeah, I'm going out. Yeah, if somebody calls you up like, "Hey, I want to meet you at this property. Can you let me into this abandoned house in the middle of the woods?"
Yeah,
Yeah, that's very sketchy.
yeah. We always do Zoom calls,
Yes.
or meet somewhere first. Yeah, or meet somewhere first, just so you know what they look like. But you still never know. I mean, yeah, there's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. Well, I know you know a lot about YouTube, and the whole gist of my real estate conversations revolve about anything I want to talk about because it's my channel. So yes, I'm a real estate agent, and yeah, I'm drinking bourbon. But I was talking to you a little offline about kind of what we're doing with our new concept. So for those people watching, if you're watching the replay, I want to know what you think. Those videos start to drop in February. But what I wanted to do that was kind of different than last year and different what I've done in the last 10 years on YouTube is less educational stuff, less pros and cons of moving to Lakewood Ranch, the top 10 reasons people move to Lakewood Ranch, and have it more conversational. So maybe in a video I'm drinking bourbon, maybe there's a video where I'm on my lanai smoking a cigar, maybe my outdoor kitchen. I can kind of tie it into to real estate, but I kind of wanted to hear kind of what your thoughts are on a concept like that.
I think being a little bit more casual on YouTube and personable is a great thing, is always a good thing, as long as you're also providing a high level of value. You still have to provide a lot of value. Otherwise, people may not watch the videos. When you're creating a YouTube channel, I look at the content as like a sales funnel, right? And I look at it as like a 3-part sales funnel. And you have the top funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. The top is the hardest part. This is the hardest part right here, is creating content that's going to get discovered to get thousands of views. And so what you're talking about and what you're doing right now, this is like middle funnel. This is how you're building a deeper relationship. People get to see behind the scenes, get to see you. And that's fine. This is good. You can have that as a component of this, or shooting vlogs or live streams. Great way to build that relationship. But the hardest part, and the part that people struggle, is this top here of how to create content that new people will discover you from.
Yeah.
And so, I think doing live streams like this is cool. Just focus on that top part, though. That has to be the number one priority, because that is the hardest part, where people really, really fail at, is getting those viral videos, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know obviously Lakewood Ranch is primarily where I focus. I was under the impression that everyone in the world knew where Lakewood Ranch was because, it's the #1 multi-generational community. It just got voted 7 times in a row, but a lot of people don't know. So I kind of expanded a little bit into Sarasota, which is the next town, because everyone seems to know where Sarasota is. But now I find myself kind of drilling back into Lakewood Ranch because that's kind of the concept. Like, it's the lifestyle. And when I started to expand outside, I was like, wow, now that area might be a little too big, because Sarasota itself is just massive. It encompasses, 3 beaches, 30-mile radius. So I've kind of drilled it back and kind of focused more on the lifestyle, because obviously we're the 941 lifestyle group with a focus on, just trying to do things to kind of differentiate ourselves from the 10,000 other real estate agents who are in our market.
Yeah, I mean, I would still do like the pros and cons, though, that like that format is just an easy format for people's brains to understand. And I would still do that. You can do it your own way. Palm Beach Paul, I think, is a great example. How he's always done his
Add
own
him on too, yeah.
He's never been a talking head guy. He does his own damn thing, and it's finally kind of working out for him a little bit. So you can definitely do it your own way, your own twist. But there's just certain formats that it's just easy to kind of comprehend and work well. And those types of videos you can do, every year, 2025, pros and cons 2025. And if somebody sees one from 2023, but yours is pros and cons 2025, our little monkey brains want to click on that 2025 one if all things are the same. And we're talking before about how important it is to have these passion projects. And making a pros and cons every single video every year, like that's not very exciting. That's work right there.
Yep.
And so, but you kind of have to do that. That's the lead generation. That's the money makers. And you know, you can find your other passion projects. And maybe it's this live stream right here is that passion project of yours that, you know, just a little bit more fulfilling.
Yeah,
a little bit more.
trying to combine them both, like education, but kind of more tied into what that lifestyle is.
Yeah, you know, be a good video. What about like I did a video a couple weeks ago answering the top 10 questions about Real Broker. And I just went to ChatGPT. It's like, hey, give me a list of questions that people ask about this company. And I kind of found some, and then boom, 10 questions. The video did okay with, you know, it wasn't great, but it did pretty good.
Nice.
Maybe top 10, answering the top 10 questions about Lakewood Ranch, Florida.
Yeah, I'll kind of, like I said, I'm still going to try to tie those in. I think I'm still going to stay in Lakewood Ranch, although Lakewood Ranch technically now is in Sarasota because it moved into the next county. But yeah, interesting. So this was something else that kind of, I'm one of those squirrel guys where something comes up and I was like, oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, that. I had done a follow-up video because it's been a year since we moved from Lakewood Ranch to Maui back to Lakewood Ranch. And so I did a video about that one too. And I was surprised, not really surprised, pleasantly happy that it just took off and did really well, like significantly more than my typical Lakewood Ranch education, although it was still kind of tied together too, because I talked about the things that, you know, I liked about Maui, but also the things that, you know, brought us to this area too. So I was like, gosh, do I do more content that is kind of sort of like that? And I don't know if that's the case, but I thought it'd be a good time for me to kind of share some of the comments I got back, because these are those things that make me have hope in the YouTube algorithm. Yeah. So this guy is Hawaii gamer, right? Watching this from Florida after leaving the Big Island, after living there from 2017 to 2024. This made me cry, like everything that you just said. So it's interesting that, you know, that's what the algorithm does. Like the algorithm found somebody from Hawaii who moved to Florida, showed them the video. They're like, I totally get it.
Yeah. And so he must have watched other videos about moving from Hawaii to Florida. And then they're like, oh, hey, look, he's watching videos about this topic. Here's another video about this topic. Let's put it in front of him and see if he clicks on it. Yeah,
the algorithm is so interesting. And this one I thought was cool too. Adam, aloha from Maryland. My wife and I are Maui lovers, and we used to enjoy your videos from Maui. I even visited the swap meet twice on a separate visit to meet you. I was like, oh my gosh, old fart travel, by the way. One of your Maui Monday stickers adorns the back of my phone. Hope you're enjoying Florida home. But man, that Maui pull isn't it real? Yeah, still enjoy your videos on Florida. Like, just the power of the algorithm is just insane. I live in Canada, watched your channel all the time. I was wondering just what happened to you. Glad to see everything's all right. You always know when somebody's lived in Hawaii, laugh out loud. It's literally their entire personality. This one I thought was funny too. I know it's confusing. You love Hawaii, but it's too expensive, and Florida's nice, but sometimes you feel like it's boring. But if you don't have the people that make you happy, but then in general, you go there and then you want Florida, and you come back to Florida, you want Hawaii. We people sometimes are our own worst enemies. It was surprising to see how many people actually reached out to me. Like, I used to watch your channel on Maui. Now I'm watching you in Florida. I was like, gosh,
that's so cool, man. I love that. And it, you know, shows like the impact on people's lives that you're actually having with your content. Yeah. And we often only see the numbers and the stats, and that's what we look at. Oh, look, 1,000 views. We kind of forget, like, that's 1,000 people who we helped, you know, in a lot of ways. And, you know, 99% of them are never going to leave a comment, but that 1% that does, you know, it's really nice when they share.
It does feel good. Of course, on the flip side, you have to deal with the ones that are not so great, but the algorithm doesn't care. Engagement is engagement.
Yeah, man. I'll take it. That's good, man. I would do more content like that.
I actually have to figure out what that tie-in is for sure.
So is this the 1 year since we left Maui video?
Yeah,
that's interesting. So I mean, Maui versus Florida. You know,
Yep.
Hawaii versus Florida, I think would be a great one. And yeah, that somehow you got to figure out what that niche is. And
Gotta figure out what that niche is. Yep, that's what 2025 is all about. Because 2024 was a struggle figuring out what are those videos that the folks at home really want to know about.
yeah,
Drop a comment down below, by the way, if you're watching this. Like, what are the topics that you want to hear about? What might intrigue you to stick around and watch some more? So, love to hear what you guys have to say.
yeah. I mean, that's part of the YouTube game is you kind of throwing spaghetti up against the wall and seeing what sticks, and then turning that into a bucket of content and repeating that over and over and over again. That value proposition that you had in the video. I mean, I think Hawaii versus Florida could be a great topic. Like, because there's probably, you know, like for me being up in Maryland, I think of Florida. I think of like it's tropical and the Caribbean, and it's people on the beaches, and that's essentially what I think of Hawaii. Like, it's very similar. And like I don't really know what the differences are between Hawaii and Florida, you know. And
here's an interesting story too that just happened. First of all, there is a Facebook page. I left it, but I need to get back in it. But Jessica's in it. It's called Hawaiians in Florida.
Oh, cool.
Which is interesting. Enough of them that warranted a Facebook page.
Yeah.
But get a load of this. This happened to us a couple of weeks ago, which is just, it really is mind blowing. So, friends with a lot of people on Facebook, but somebody who I randomly met at the Maui swap meet, right? We just saw that post there. Moved to this area, to right here in Sarasota, right down the road.
Wow.
Saw us on Facebook, and was just kind of blown away, right? Because you have that camaraderie. If somebody who lived in Hawaii, even if it was just for a short time, they lived there for a long time, but moved back, like I think not long after we did, to this area, which is crazy. So she had reached out to me and or Jessica, I can't remember. Hey, we're having a little get together, you know, bring some food. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Oh, by the way, my husband's Hawaiian, from Hawaii, born and raised, now lives here, which was all crazy. So we bonded immediately. First of all, it was great to see her. In all honesty, Jen, I hope you're not watching. I did not remember meeting you at all whatsoever, but I made enough of an impression that you recognized me, and not only recognized me, but invited me to your house to get together, you know, years later. But it was cool because there was a handful of other people who had just moved from Maui, Hawaii, to this area, Sarasota.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. I mean, that if Hawaiians were moving to, what do you call the continental states? Isn't there another name?
Oh yeah, there's Las Vegas is the ninth island.
Yeah. Isn't there a name that they call mainlanders or
Howleys?
Well, somebody moving from Hawaii back to the continental United States, like Florida is probably the first place they think of. That's probably the closest.
Well, Vegas is the first one, just because it's easy to get to. One flight. It's relatively speaking cheap, but a lot of them are coming to obviously Florida because I don't know. In my opinion, I don't want to say it's the closest thing because it's politically not even remotely close. There's obviously no mountains. We have gators and snakes here, but in terms of, you know, warmer weather,
beaches,
and beaches, I mean, that's all you got. Believe me, I'm a beach guy, and I have lived in Southern California. Beautiful beaches are not swimmable. Texas, beautiful. The beaches are mediocre on the Gulf Coast there. Alabama gets freezing in the winter. It's going to be 27 degrees this week in Alabama, even though they're on the Gulf. And then it's Florida. That's your choice in the continental United States.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be a little niche for sure.
I think that could be a great bucket of content right there. Hawaii versus Florida. Yeah. You know, which one is best to retire in? Hawaii versus Florida. Which one to buy investment properties in? Hawaii versus Florida. Which one to own a second home in? Yeah. You know,
great idea. Well, I can tell you $9 a gallon of milk. It's kind of a no-brainer which state you would come to you want to save a little bit of money. Hey, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna share my screen. And we're going to have a fun little conversation about this because I haven't really thought about it yet either. But I'm going to share my screen and let's have some fun with this. You watch football at all?
Not really.
Okay. This will make it even more exciting.
All right.
There's some football happening this weekend. Playoffs. Want to make your picks? No bets. Just picking.
I'm gonna bet for the Ravens.
Okay.
Baltimore. Like I gotta bet on the Ravens,
Gotcha.
of course. I'd say Eagles over Rams. Let's go with Commanders over the Lions. Let's do Texans over the Chiefs.
Gotcha. You might be the only person in the world.
I know nothing about the Texans or the Chiefs.
No, but the Chiefs have been the most dominant team in
now you tell me.
in football. They are, none of my teams are in it, so I have no skin in the game. So there's probably two thoughts. I guess if you're a Chiefs fan, you want the Chiefs to win. But if you are a fan of sports, you're either saying, man, I really want to see the Chiefs win. They will be the only team, I think, in history to win 3 back-to-back Super Bowls.
Wow.
So they've already won 2. So if they win, that would be, epic. And I'm all about, cool records like that. Or you're on the other end where you're like, don't want to see the Chiefs win anymore. They've already won 2, blah, 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 blah. So I have no skin in the game, but I would take the Buffalo Bills. I would take the Commanders. Probably take the Rams. I'm all said and done, probably the Chiefs. Although I always like when somebody beats the champion because I'm always a big fan of the underdog.
See, I've got a total bias here just because Ravens are in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Commanders are just as far away in DC, and then the Eagles are up in Philadelphia, which is like 2 hours away.
Yeah, it's all right there.
Yeah, we got 3 major NFL teams, within 2 hours drive of me, which is pretty cool. I really should be more into football, but
they're all right there. Yeah.
Like I'm a single dad and I run a business. Like I don't have 5 hours of my time to give up every weekend, let alone, when people are watching 2, 3, 4 games a week. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like, what do you, like, how do you, that's 10 hours, 20 hours a week you're spending watching these games. Like, I got shit to do, man.
Yeah. I'm doing that on Sunday. Sunday for us is always Sunday fun day. Mm-hmm. We don't have to work. We don't work. So, we're cooking and watching football. Yeah. Sometimes they're our team. Sometimes they're not our teams. Can I tell you, going back to Hawaii, one of the things that I love that people think I'm insane for loving is that football starts at 7:00 in the morning.
That's interesting.
That is interesting, right? Because and bars are open, so we watch most of like the playoffs and the Super Bowl like at a bar because it's fun. First of all, because it's Hawaii, so you don't really have any like specific dominant fans. There's people all over the country live there. Hawaiians, Hawaiians tend to like the Vegas teams.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I'm all about some day drinking, man. Like that's the best time to drink. You drink too late at night, man, just messes with your sleep.
No, that's why
early.
I don't drink
Get kind of sober.
Drinking the bourbon. It's 5:00. I'll be done drinking, in a half hour.
So I'm trying to like lose weight, and I've been trying to figure out like what is like the lowest calorie drink I can get, and I've actually been doing vodka and then these Crystal Light Hawaiian punch packets that are 5 calories.
Oh yeah, yep.
Or that, vodka and water. Some hydrating. It's literally, probably 20-30 calories for a drink.
Nice.
And that's kind of my go-to. This like Hawaiian punch with vodka, and I make it home.
I'm trying to lose weight as well too. I asked ChatGPT to put together a work program for me, so I'm doing have you ever read the 5 a.m. Club or Miracle Morning or any of those books?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been doing the 5 a.m. Club for on and off for a long time. I've tweaked a little bit because the 5 a.m. is basically an hour, 20 minutes of moving, 20 minutes of growing, 20 minutes of learning. That never really worked out for me because it's my life, my schedule. So I do like almost 3 hours worth for me. Up at 4:45, I created a home gym, which is kind of cool. So I'm doing some working out for about a half hour, and then I take another like 20-30 minutes for some gratuity and journaling and meditating and reading. And then I'm doing some walking, but I also I used to do Bikram hot yoga. And for some reason or other, classes, I've taken it all over the country. And for some reason or other, those classes are never meant for people who actually work for a living, right? It's an hour and a half class. So, you get to class 15 minutes beforehand, hour and a half hour to get back home, shower. You get an 8 o'clock class, you're done at 9:30. I'm starting at 11. I was like, none of those times work for me. So a lot of them are available on YouTube. I just bought 2 space heaters, get my little bedroom up to 95 degrees and do it there.
Does the heat make a big difference?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole just Bikram yoga or just hot yoga. Yeah, loosens your body. You can do more stretching.
I've been doing I've been really focused on my daily routine the last like couple years as well. And I've been doing the ice baths every day now.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that.
136 days in a row I've been doing ice baths, except for a few days I traveled. And yeah, that's kind of part of my routine. So let me show you a really cool app I got. I just discovered this maybe about a week ago, this particular one, but it's called Habit Kit. Yeah, Habit Kit. And I have a few goals that I try to hit every day, these 6 goals right here. And I have these little widgets where I can just kind of tap on that and it documents that I hit that goal for that day.
Oh, sweet.
And then I can see a little tracker there of like what my progress is, like how many days in a row I've hit that goal.
Oh, nice.
And you can open it up and just see like a visual, and having this visual, I think has been really, so this one, my daily affirmations, I've been really good about hitting that every day. Really journaling, I've been a little bit more sporadic. I have this like healthy drink I drink every day. And then ice baths, I've been really
that's awesome. I tried to do ice showers.
Yeah,
it's a tough. I was into kind of Wim Hof. Wim Hof. Yeah, breathing, and he doesn't do ice baths. He does ice showers.
Wim Hof will do ice plunges as well.
Yeah, he'll do ice plunges. Yeah,
yeah. The showers work too, man. Like it wakes you the fuck up. Oh, yeah. Man. Like a cold shower will wake you up better than a cup of coffee.
Yeah, for sure.
Like. And that's reality. If you want to wake up and if you want to be more productive this first hour or 2 of your day, crank that stuff to as cold as you can tolerate. And then the cold reduces inflammation as well. And so I feel like a lot of my little aches and pains they're a lot less when I do the ice baths. Those are the only 2 real benefits I find. Is it wakes me up and then it reduces a lot of inflammation, which reduces a lot of aches and pains.
And is the gist of that doing that first thing in the morning or just in the morning?
I try to do it. I'm a big fan of the Atomic Habits book. And so I try to habit stack that when I take a shower, at the end of the shower, I turn the water cold and I get out of the shower and I go into my ice bath. And like, I try to habit stack those 2 things.
Gotcha. But that's not necessarily like you get up and that's what you go do, right?
Yeah, no, I shower first.
Okay.
I think the shower kind of wakes me up a little bit. And I think the ice bath, it just wakes me up. Some people do them at night. I've thought about it, but I feel like
I don't need to be more awake at night.
Yeah. Everybody's a little bit different with them. And I've also thought about getting like a sauna as well. And that's interesting that you're doing the Bikram yoga.
That's great. I'm absolutely loving it. And I'm on, I do it Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty consistently doing it. So yeah, it feels because I'm trying to lose some weight too. And get on like some kind of habit. So I kind of like those kind of 3 hours, right?
Yeah, I love that, man.
Probably 5 to 8. Sometimes it's a little longer than that because I do listen to Sharon's 5 a.m. club. I don't know if you're on that call.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Sharon does a 5 a.m. call, but it's 8 o'clock California time. So yeah, sometimes I stop my walking and don't start that until he's done.
I need to get on those. Yeah, I feel like I've been. Yeah,
they're pretty good. It's you just need the phone number, and then I just dial in. I have my alarm set for 5 minutes of, and at 5 minutes of, I just dial the phone call. Everyone's muted.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and that guy is just amazing because he just gives and gives and gives.
Yeah, Sharon's a beast, man. I love that he's in the same game of that we are building a personal brand.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Like he's not just like, hey, this is what I was told you should do. Like, no, he's out there creating content, posting 2-3 times a day on Instagram and making YouTube videos and working his email list that he's sending out 3 times a week and going around, traveling around, doing 30, 40, 50 presentations a year up on stages. Yeah. These are all the activities that we need to be doing and actually learn from him and see him doing it at a highest level.
At the highest. Yeah. And he drops a podcast. I don't know how many podcasts a week he drops. It's at least one for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm super impressed with Sharon. I love having him as the president. Like it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Business school podcast, I think it's called too. And what I love about it, he ends them all the same way too, right? If you find value in this one, maybe screenshot it or just tag me in a post. So I always screenshot if I find value I find value in all of them, but some of them are like, wow, that was just for free. Holy cow. And
Yeah.
I'll screenshot it and tag him. And whether it's him or not, I'm not sure. I still think it's him. Like he'll respond back.
I think his social media, a lot of that stuff is not him.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is somebody,
His team.
Yeah, somebody trained to kind of comment like him. I saw somebody, Bob Tompkins made a post that's kind of controversial and kind of like disparaging another company, and Sharon commented on it like absolute fire, bro. And then everybody commented on Sharon's like, bro, hey, you shouldn't be encouraging.
Yeah.
Like, totally against the culture what Bob is doing.
Oh,
and so I don't think Sharon actually made the comment. Somebody else must have.
That's the downside to that for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, like if he can make a list and be like, hey, look, if everybody who has a post about Reel tags Reel, I want you to do absolute fire, bro. Love it. Keep going, man. You're the man. You're so cool. Like I could see him hiring a VA to do that. And
Yeah,
so
I can do that. I know he hires VAs because he promotes them on his I can't remember the name of them, but he definitely promotes them on his podcast.
Assistantly,
yeah. That's it. Yeah.
I've used them.
Yeah.
Most services that you get a VA through, they keep about 50% of the money that you're paying them, and only about 50% of that actually goes to the VA.
Yikes.
And so I was paying like $3,400 a month for a VA through them. Yeah. And then I just don't tell anybody. This isn't live, is it? But I just reached out to the VA after about a year. I was like, man, this is getting pretty pricey. Like, what do you think about me just paying you directly? And so,
yeah, see, I had that conversation, and he was my VA, because I've had a VA for like 5+ years, and kind of the same thing. And he was a little cautious about it, which makes sense. But yeah, I was the same way. I was like, shoot, I should be paying you directly.
Yeah, I gave her a raise.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a raise. Yeah.
So I'm saving $1,000 a month.
And they're still making more.
Yeah, and she's making more. And like honestly, like once I realized that I could get an equivalent VA for $1,000 less if I went to other websites and hired them directly, I probably would have fired her at some point and gone this other route just to save. That's $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. That's a motorcycle right there. And just a smart business decision. I don't know how I feel about that practice that a lot of these services charge 50% just to one time set you up with the VA. They didn't give me any systems, any tools to communicate with them or anything. It's just they found a VA for me. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now on, I'm going to hire them all directly. There's websites that they can go on, and you can make a job post in the Philippines directly rather than going through one of these services. And I've also heard people say you can just run Facebook ads in the Philippines. Like, hey, I'm looking for a VA.
Oh, interesting.
Things apply here. And it's just a lot cheaper than going through one of these services.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you pay them?
I'm paying her just through PayPal.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't figured out how to do a reoccurring automatic payment. I should be able to. I just haven't figured it out yet. But so I just have a Google Calendar reminder the 1st and 15th, and I give her $950 twice a month.
Are they doing your video editing?
Yeah. So I'm doing a lot with AI right now. And so she's doing a lot with the AI to create content. And then when I was doing a podcast, I would record. I had a great system. I would record just the hour-long podcast, and in that podcast, I would get 2 long-form videos out of it. And she would edit those long-form videos, upload them to YouTube, create the thumbnail out of a Canva template that I created. And then she would take that and edit about 8 Instagram reels out of that podcast to get the short-form content, and she'd add the B-roll to it. And then she would schedule those out for me on a program called Loonly that would schedule those posts for me. And so I invest 1 hour of time I get 2 long form videos and like 8 Instagram reels.
Oh, interesting.
And it's a good system, and I need to keep doing it. I just got distracted by a few things.
I hear you. Yeah, maybe we'll talk offline about that one too. Interesting. Hey, here's something I was going to ask you because I was intrigued to hear the answer to this one too. But before you and I spoke, you have any idea? Have you ever heard of Lakewood Ranch, Florida?
No idea.
So interesting. So, as you know, we lived in this area for 11 years before we moved to Maui. I was super involved with Lakewood Ranch. Even at that time, I was like, man, everybody knows where Lakewood Ranch is. And now it's even boom. Now there's like 40 plus neighborhoods within Lakewood Ranch. I think I was telling you offline, like I went to a real estate conference and even real estate agents from Florida were like, where's Lakewood Ranch? And I was like, man, like, am I just living in a bubble? Like, I might be living in a bubble. So yeah, I always like to ask other real estate agents.
Yeah, I mean, I know Orlando, I know Fort Myers, I know Miami, I know Key West. That may be it. That may be like the only cities I know in Florida. And Lakewood Ranch is not as big as any of those, I'd imagine.
No, it's probably like 70,000 people, but it is its own little bubble. I mean, it literally is originally designed for like live, work, play. It's a planned unit development, 33,000 acres, you know.
Yeah. And I'll say Florida is surprisingly big as well.
Huge. Yeah.
It freaking takes forever to drive the entire length of Florida, as I've learned the wrong way before. Like it's probably the size of like Maryland, Delaware, DC, Virginia, and North Carolina all combined into one. Maybe even South Carolina. Like it's huge. So I could understand people not knowing all the different places.
Gotcha. That doesn't stop me from not focusing on Lakewood Ranch, because I think if you know about Lakewood Ranch and you're thinking about moving here, you need somebody who's got an interesting perspective to tell you more about the area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. Well, how do people find you online? If you want them to find you online, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
So livinginmaryland.com is my website. That's my big focus right now. And like I was saying before, I'm trying to create an article, a relocation guide article for every single city in the state of Maryland. And I've actually already done that. And now I'm creating YouTube videos to go along with every single article for every single city in the state of Maryland. So I'm trying to create the ultimate resource for anybody moving to Maryland. And then I can connect you with agents anywhere in the state as well.
That's awesome. And you're doing, I think that's what you're telling me, right? Like really long, detailed articles.
Yeah. A lot of them are pretty detailed. They have links to additional resources, to parks, to utility companies in the area, to restaurants in the area, and then all the homes for sale in that community as well show up on the article.
And you're just putting that on your blog, on your website.
Yep. And that's been a big push of mine the last year, is working on this. And I just finally finished every single city. And so now I'm trying to create other articles, the true cost of living in for every single city, pros and cons of for every single city. And so this is an ongoing project I'm working on the next couple of years, but ultimately trying to create like a statewide team where I generate, clients, and I can connect consumers with real estate agent. Yeah.
Nice. Well, one of the things I like to do is, as I wrap up my live stream, is share a little bit of positivity. So I find some quote that I like or inspirational, and one of my favorite actresses, in all honesty, is Audrey Hepburn. Got a little crush on her, but she says nothing is impossible. Even the word itself says I'm possible, and I love that. So
I love that.
Going into 2025, I wish everybody nothing but happy health and good luck. So I appreciate you coming on. Anything you want to share with the folks at home?
No, man, make 2025 the best year ever. I feel like we've had some crazy years. We're done with the pandemic, mostly pretty much done with that. And interest rates were kind of crazy, but I'm hoping they come down in 2025, and hopefully we get back to like normal. Like I
think we'll get back to semi-normal. I'm not sure if we're ever going to get back to normal. And what is it's interesting too. I just finished reading a book. Actually, no, in the process of reading. I read all of Seth Godin's book, and I can't remember the name. I think the book is called. I don't have it here, but I think it's called "We're All Weird."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've read that, but it's talking about not being normal. Like normal is a fading trend in this world, and being weird. Everyone's kind of weird in their own sense, but weird is good. Weird is kind of thinking outside of the box, and normal is basically the gist of it is large companies making mediocre average products for average people.
Yeah. I like what Alex Ramosi says about this, that if you want to live an exceptional life and be an exceptional person, by definition, you are not going to be normal. So why set your standards so low? Your standard should be, I'm going to be an exceptional person living an exceptional life. By definition, you are not normal.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, one of my favorite books by Seth Godin is The Purple Cow, which I have always strived to do, right? I don't know if you read that. I read it every year. It's on my book for February because everybody's seen a brown cow. Nothing impressive about a brown cow, but a purple cow is remarkable. And remarkable is worth being remarked about, not because you say so, because other people say so. And I love that. So that's always been kind of been my goal in real estate and life, is to be remarkable, which entails not being normal, because if you're normal, then you're just the brown cow.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, man. Different is better than better. That's
different is better than better.
We say that on YouTube quite often.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you joining in. Thank you guys for watching live. If you're catching the replay, drop those comments down below. Definitely let us know where you're watching from. I'm always intrigued to see and hear from you and find out where it is that you are watching from. And Malcolm, I appreciate your time. Happy New Year. I hope you have an amazing 2025, and we will see you out and about.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.